And so we breathe in. And as we exhale out of the silence, we exhale into the consciousness of the one. One mind, one heart, one power, one love. There is only one. God, universe, whatever you want to call it. It is in, through, and as all things. It is in the silence. It is in the prayer. It is in the music. It is in the chords. It's in the spaces in between. It is in you, as you, through you, and me, ever present. That magnificence from which we can never be separate. And so we do pray to remember, to find ourselves, to find that true self rooted in that power, rooted in that presence, rooted in that love. And today is magnificent. You are here by divine appointment. You are here because you already know who you truly are. You are here on purpose, a divine purpose. And you are so magnificent. There is nothing you need to be or force or manipulate. You simply breathe and know. And once again, remember that who you truly are is love and peace and beauty and power and joy. And that thing, that life force within you knows only that. That perfection and that wholeness of who you are. And so this time together is so blessed and so divinely guided and so spirited. This community, being with one another, seeing the faces around you. There is absolutely nothing more perfect than this moment, this day, this now, this you. And in that knowing, I'm just so deeply grateful, and I invite you to be in that gratitude with me and to help me release this prayer today into that action, that law that is always the same, never changing, by simply saying, and so it is. Now, our affirmation for November: my inner guide keeps me on the pathway of life and directs me at all times to that which is right and best. I shall never be without this witness of the Spirit, for I believe in it and accept it as the great companion of the soul.
Who am I? Can I be? How did I get so far from recognizing me? Sad and stuck, can't move on. Wondering if the something's been here all along. Where do I go? What do I see? Could I be recognizing now the truth in me? Starting now and here, the message is so clear. God is all right here inside of me. All of what I need is waiting here for me. Seeing God in me, I know I'm free. Stop and start. Learn and grow. Now I can live my life in joy with what I know. Who am God alive in me. Wherever I go, all that I see is a reflection of the Spirit here in me. Help me say, church, starting now and hear the message. God is all right here. God is all right here inside of me. All of what I need, all of what is waiting here for me. Oh, seeing God in me, I know I'm free. Starting now and here, starting now and hear the message. God is all right here. All of what I need, all of what I need is waiting here for me. Yeah. Seeing God in me, I know I'm free. Seeing God in me, seeing God in me, I know I'm free.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Mauricio Lopez, and I have been invited to do a power talk this morning for you guys. So I got an email from Susan letting me know that the topic of the day was who you truly are. I don't know if she was asking me or she was about to tell me something. What I know is that throughout my life, I have been surrounded by some big personalities. So, as a child, who I truly was Fernando and Carmen's son. Then, as I started growing up and went to school and so on and so forth, I became my brother's and sister's brother. And lately, who I truly are is David's partner. So I really wonder if there is a time in my life when I will be just me. But really, it's kind of, I wonder what really defines who I am. And I've been in this inquiry for a long time in my life, and sometimes it's a challenge, sometimes it's a struggle. And I think I'm not alone in that place. I think some of us are together there, wondering who I really am. So a long, long time ago, somebody told me, if you want to find out who you really are, just look inside. And I said, okay, fine, inside, I'm looking then. So I kind of got some clues along the way. When I was in high school, a very good friend of mine told me, doesn't matter really who you are as long as you are authentic. I was like, oh, that kind of makes sense, because if I'm fake, all I will bring to the people in my life is disappointment and unfulfilled expectations. So that kind of makes sense. Then as I was going through college, I learned that I had to excel to be successful because mediocrity kind of sucks. So at that time it was okay, fine, I have to be authentic and excel and be successful. That kind of makes sense so far. And then I moved here to the States in 1996, and most of what I have learned about what was expected of me to be didn't apply anymore. And then I was really puzzled. Who am I? And who are the people around me? And mostly, why are they the way they are? So I kind of have learned that who I really am is just a person who wants to have a meaningful experience and make a contribution. And some of the things that I tried, the first thing that I tried, is fixing the world, because it's really screwed up. Then I learned that that kind of wasn't real. No, the world is fine. It's all just fine. Then probably what I need to do is help people. Well, people don't need my help. They are whole and complete and great by themselves. And me trying to help them was really kind of occurring to them as me being noisy and noisy. So I stopped doing that, and then I realized that probably the way I can really make a contribution is just by being there with people, being there for people in case I can be of use. So along the way, one of the things that I really have gotten that has been key in my life is that people are the way they are because that is the way they are, and I am the way I am because that's the way I'm choosing to be. Another thing that I learned is that I was very much misled when advised to look inside of myself to realize who I truly was. The answer really on who I truly are is out there, in every person that I get the opportunity to interact and touch. Every single one of you, that's who really matters for me to be who I am. So, in a nutshell, I realized that in reality, who I am is defined by how I occur to others. Who others say and think that I am is really who I am. So, if I want to be a good son, it doesn't matter what I think being a good son is. Or it doesn't matter even if I think I am a good son. I need to ask my mom and dad if I'm a good son. If I want to be a good friend, it doesn't matter if I think I am a good friend. I need to ask my friends. If I want to be a good partner, it really doesn't matter if I think I'm great, which I am. But I need to ask David what he thinks. So anyway, what I want to leave you guys with is to consider that really who you are is the great person that every single person in your life is acknowledging you to be. Thank you.
Can you imagine living with that? Yeah, I know. I can imagine it too. It's pretty hot. It's also a lot of fun. I've never heard him use that American axiom in a nutshell. He's advancing so fast. I'm the luckiest man in the world. Seriously, I get it. I get it. So are you. Anyway, well, aren't you? So today is the week. This is the weekend of Veterans Day, and we are acknowledging our veterans of the American Armed Forces, and we will acknowledge those of you who are veterans a little later on this morning. But right now, I want to share with you what I read and heard on the news about American Airlines. There were there was a group of 13 soldiers who were returning home from the Mideast, and they were on American Airlines. They had made it as far as Boston. Then they were boarding a flight in Boston, going from Boston to San Diego, at which they are based. And while they were boarding, they became aware that American Airlines has a policy. See, if American Airlines has any empty first-class seats, they give them to any available American soldier in uniform. And so there were a group of 13 in this particular, there was 15 servicemen and women who were heading back to San Diego, and there were 6 available seats, so 6 of them got assigned to first-class seats. When other passengers in the first-class cabin heard about this, 7 first-class passengers gave up their seats and went back to coach, so that those uniformed men and women could have those seats. This could generate a lot of dialogue in a community like this, and the dialogue that emerges for me is simply this. I want to be like those first-class passengers. It doesn't matter whether they're giving them to the military or anyone else. It only matters that you have something that may matter to someone else such that you can actually change their day by that generosity. And I'm really moved that we can do that. We actually have that in our power. In a couple weeks, I'll talk about KLM Airlines and what I learned about them recently. But part of the tagline of their latest ad campaign is, if you want to make an impact, you want to put a smile on someone's face, not just a smiley face icon on the end of your email. And that's what we have the power to do. We actually have the power to impact people like that. Our topic today is who you truly are. And our theme this month is silence. And what we're exploring is the spiritual practice of silence, which is often overlooked because we're too busy to go into the silence. I'm just too busy to take time to pray. I'm just too busy to sit still. And I remember the first time I sat still for 5 minutes. I actually was very grateful because I sat down. I thought, I have 5 minutes now to close my eyes and plan the rest of my day. Sometimes I'm tempted to take that half an hour. For 30 minutes every Sunday from 8:30 to 9 o'clock, we meet up in the conference room. Anybody who wants to join us. And if you're live streaming, you can join us at 8:30, from 8:30 to 9 Pacific time, wherever you are. Just go into the silence and join us. But there are sometimes I'm tempted there to tweak my sermon notes or to chat with those people who have shown up in the room. To just take 30 minutes to do nothing and to try to still the mind and calm the body long enough to just be. What value is that? And then I opened up the book of the month, and our book of the month is called Stillness Speaks. It's by Eckhart Tolle. And I found, seriously, this week's chapter, the chapter being entitled Who You Truly Are, to be the best chapter of any book I have ever read. This morning, while Mauricio and I were headed south on 880 in our Toyota Sienna minivan, I was reading to him out loud the chapter, and he acted interested. What I'm liking about this particular book is that the author has asked us, the reader, to just pick it up and flip through and open a page and see what strikes you. It's not something that needs to be read from beginning to end, and it doesn't have an objective like you got to get something. I got to get something. I'm going to church. I got to get something. I got to get an answer. I got to get a solution. I got to get a fix. I got to get the inspiration to take action. And I'm telling you, don't just do something. Sit there. That's what we're up to this month, which is totally counter to everything that I thought life was about. But I'm liking this book because that little paragraph right there is sufficient, according to the author. I can just read that and be done with my task for the day. I'm liking this already. But today's chapter, really, Who You Truly Are, has so many gems. I want to share with you just a couple of brief ideas, because maybe they will be useful to you. 1, many things in your life matter, but only one thing matters absolutely. See, it matters whether you succeed or fail in the eyes of the world, and it matters whether you are healthy or not healthy, whether you are educated or not educated, It matters whether you are rich or poor. It certainly makes a difference in your life, yes. All these things matter, relatively speaking, but they don't matter absolutely. There is something that matters more than any of those things, and that is finding the essence of who you are beyond that short-lived entity, that short-lived personalized sense of self. So you find peace not from rearranging the circumstances of your life, but by realizing who you are at the deepest level. I dare say I'm going to try that on. Not trying to find peace by rearranging the circumstances, find peace by getting my brothers and sisters to get along, by finding peace by balancing my checkbook, or finding peace by finding a good hour to commute on 880, or finding peace by getting my spouse to do what I need, or finding peace by finally surrendering to whatever it is that's ailing me. No, instead, we find peace by taking the time to be still, to remember what you already are. So the beauty is you don't have to do anything. In fact, the less you do, the better this is going to work. So I'm not asking you to do anything that I don't do. I'm doing this, and I'm finding it to be absolutely transformative. Because even when the outer stuff is not changing, when I come out of that silence, I'm a different person in the presence of that stuff that's not working. And in fact, when I'm a different person in the presence of that which is not working, that which is not working is altered. Because either it doesn't matter to me anymore, or whatever energy I was giving to keep it alive has finally fallen. It's like a balloon that when you stop blowing air into it and you let it go, it deflates. That frequently happens, and I dare say that it's possible that I have been creating the very things from which I wish to extricate myself. The Science of Mind teaches that. Our textbook actually teaches that. It's possible that you and I are creating the very things from which we wish to extricate ourselves. So I had lunch this week with a man named Birju, and he's of Indian descent, and he is involved in a generous economy. He's involved in a giving economy, in sharing and generosity. And I was blessed to be with this young 30-second. Okay, he's Indian, he's gorgeous and sexy, yes. Freud is going to have a fun day with that. It's okay, Mao. So wow, now it's warm in here. I wanted to say it's hot, but I don't think that would be appropriate right now. I had lunch with this really nice man. And he was telling me about his cousin, who is a PhD at a university in Florida. And this professor in Florida is doing this study. She's studying the effects that silence has on concentration. She's actually studying how it is that being silent can increase concentration. So it's not just something you hear about in churches or some platitude or some new thought hope, but empirical data that shows how being still and silent can actually generate a stronger, broader, deeper, more profound result. And her clients, the majority of whom she's studying, are the U.S. government, the military. She is working with the military to get them to meditate. Only she can't use the word meditate because it's the U.S. government. So she's getting them in groups of folk who are sitting down for prescribed periods of time, and they're observed, and the results that occur for them after this time are observed and recorded. So she was working with this particular military general who was facing deploying his troops back to Afghanistan on a peacekeeping mission while the U.S. demilitarizes itself from Afghanistan. And he was preparing to send his troops, and he didn't know how many he should send. So this was the focus he was taking into meditation. Can you see this? So those of you who have been waiting for the U.S. military machine to transform, pay attention, because it's happening. So this particular general came out of several sessions of meditation with a renewed idea, and it was this. He's not going to deploy his troops to Afghanistan on a peacekeeping mission. No. In silence, he remembered something he heard just on the surface of his hearing, and that was something on a news broadcast about a university in Texas that has a specialization in their teaching, and that is to teach people how to farm in harsh conditions. So this general came out of meditation with his Indian PhD, and he was inspired not to send his soldiers back to Afghanistan to try to force peace to happen, but instead he's sending his soldiers to a university in Texas where they're going to study how to farm in harsh conditions. Then they will go back to Afghanistan, not to make peace happen, but to teach these people how to teach these wonderful people how to farm in an environment that is relatively harsh. This is the kind of stuff that emerges out of meditation and silence. It's even impacting the military machine. Don't pass up an opportunity to sit still and do nothing. I read also, thanks to a very proud military mom here at the center. Her name is Liz Fedina. Liz and Tom Fedina have a son in the military. Liz, she's like a closeted, proud mom. She's closeted because she's proud of her son and proud of the work he's done, and she's closeted about it because she's afraid of how it will be received in a community that has a lot of disdain for government. So she sent me, like at 1 in the morning when no one's awake, she sent me this link, a link to this new organization that's called Combat Flip-Flops. Combat Flip-Flops, you heard that right. Their tagline is, they're bad for running and worse for fighting. Combat Flip-Flops has a mission, business, not bullets. Combat Flip-Flops emerged because there were a group of contractors working with the U.S. government in Afghanistan. They're helping the U.S. to leave Afghanistan, and what's left is one 100,000 square foot factory that was making combat boots and military gear. And these guys were looking around thinking, why don't we demilitarize this building and cause it to generate a benefit for the local community? And they were wondering, what can we actually begin to make in this building so that the local Afghani folk can take over and make things that generate an income for their economy, so that what we leave behind is possibility. So they were just playing around and thinking and brainstorming. One guy took an X-Acto knife and he cut the top of a boot off and just left the base of the boot, and then he took some leather straps and made a flip-flop out of this combat boot, and thus Combat Flip-Flops were born. So they started making these making flip-flops. They don't look like the base of a combat boot, by the way. They look like really cool flip-flops. They started making flip-flops, and they produced about 3,000 of them when lots of things happened and it all failed. There wasn't enough money, there wasn't enough time, there wasn't enough support. So this man packed up all this machinery and shipped it back to the United States, and people said, well, why don't you just make them here? He said, that's not the point. The point is to make an impact there, where those people now have a view of us that he wants to alter. So he started thinking, you know, I don't really need 100,000 square feet. I don't really need industrial power. I just need a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So with the generosity of some friends and some investors, he created a small little factory. And here's what he did. 1, he put this factory into a 40-foot shipping crate. 2, he shipped it to Afghanistan. 3, he unpacked it in Afghanistan. 4, he set up the new business right outside of this shipping crate. 5, he hired locals and trained them. 6, they started making flip-flops. 7, they put them back into this container. And 8, they're shipping them to you. So it's transforming what's going on. So right now they've got a Indiegogo campaign. They're out to raise $500,000 so that they can start doing this in Iran and anywhere else that the U.S. has vacated. He wants a flip-flop factory, and I say, why not? They've ended their campaign they've ended the tag for their campaign by saying, "These are your weapons for change." Earlier this year, I was talking to you about a program called Pathway, and Pathway is a program that's happening at the Veterans Hospital in Napa County, right there at Yountville. And what you may not know about American servicemen and women is that here in the United States, there are approximately 500,000 U.S. veterans that are still living in the hell of war, even though they're in the U.S. They are living the misery of that which most of us in this country are not equipped to help with. So these 500,000 servicemen and women are struggling just to stay alive. And I'm not being dramatic with my language. All the empirical data shows this. What you may not know is that every day in the United States, at least 22 veterans commit suicide. 22. That equates to more than 8,000 every year. And in the 10 years we've been involved in Afghanistan, that is 80,000 suicides because our society is not equipped to decompress these folks and to reintroduce them to a country of possibility. But the Rotary Club of Napa has taken this on. Businesses have taken this on. Not saying this is the government's to do. They've said these are our people. It's ours to do. So they have started a program. Since 2008, 400 soldiers have graduated from this program. 400, not one of which has committed suicide since 2008. They have a 100% success rate. So people have been asking, what's the magic bullet? Because other organizations, they want to do this too. What's the magic bullet? Is it your medication? Is it your counseling techniques? Is it that you're really close to the vineyards? And the answer keeps coming back, the same answers, but people won't listen because they don't have the perspective to hear the truth. These soldiers are leaving this program renewed and reinvigorated because the major part of the program is community. See, the locals there in Yountville are participating in this program. They participate in potlucks and birthday parties. And every Monday night, the Rotary Club has the open bowling for any of the soldiers in the program. The soldiers are not just in a hospital being medicated or being brought off their meds. They are being introduced to people who care about them. You want to make an impact in the world? Start caring about the people who are around you. Stop hating them for whatever it is you think you should hate them for. But make an impact. See, I heard Mao say it loud and clear, and he's spot on. I identify myself the way that you see me. And if you don't see me the way I want you to, then I'm going to alter myself such that I can be seen that way. Or if you're going to refuse to participate in that way, I will probably migrate and evolve myself. But I'm not going to continue to try to convince you that I'm right. We don't have to convince the world that we're right. Start moving such that we are heard. The big thing about communication is not broadcasting. A lot of us, we think communication is broadcasting. So like with our partners, this happens in marriage a lot. I'm just going to keep broadcasting and broadcasting and broadcasting until you finally hear me. I know, it's so much fun. I love talking about couples here because I keep seeing the heads. They start looking at each other and they go, but the purpose of communication is to have your ideas heard. So if they're not getting it, then it's up to me to alter my broadcast. It's up to me to alter what it is I'm delivering so that it's received. That's what communication is. So if you've had difficulty communicating your distrust or your upset about, let's say, government or the military, maybe the call is not to continue to broadcast it, but to alter what's going on. And one way to alter it is to make an impact in the lives. You may not have a first-class seat to give up. You may not have that. There are those in this room who will never be in first class in an airplane cabin. But everybody in this room has something to give. And the things that have meant the most to me in life have not been like the gift, but it's being in the presence of the giftor. You have an opportunity this week on Friday to really make an impact. If the military is not yours to take on, by the way, if you're absolutely, totally, and amazingly peaceful with U.S. military, then don't take them on. If you are not, then it might be yours to consider. I know that the things that upset me the most are really the things for me to become peaceful with which to become reconciled. Because it's in the presence of those things I experience myself in a dualistic nature. I experience upset and discord and unhappiness. And when I face that, or even reconcile it, I'm uncomfortable with this. But I can be comfortable that I'm uncomfortable. I can actually just be comfortable that I'm uncomfortable and then get on with it. Instead of always resisting that I'm uncomfortable and constantly railing against it. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Am I preaching to you? Okay, well, it's time to stop preaching and wrap this up. You can do something this week. You can actually make an impact. For those of you watching online, I'm grateful you're watching online. And for those of you listening to this on a CD in your automobile, I'm grateful you're listening to this. And I'm a little tiny bit sad that you're not going to be with us on the 15th of November in the Bay Area of Northern California. Because on Friday, the 15th of November, 2013, San Francisco is being transformed into Gotham City. A lot of you have heard, but not all of you have, that the Make-A-Wish Foundation is experiencing the most unusual of their gifts, and they're causing it to happen. See, this coming Friday, what's going to happen is a little boy named Miles, who's a 5-year-old, who has a particularly nasty case of leukemia, for whom it does not look good. He's being granted a wish by the Make-A-Wish Foundation. His parents were surprised because they were kind of expecting Miles to, like, what do you want, Miles? I want to go to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, I would say. For those of you who are wondering, first-class ticket to Orlando, I'll take the gift. So, no, Disneyland? No. Do you want to fly to the moon? No. He wants to be Bat Kid for a day. He wants to be Bat Kid for a day. So the Make-A-Wish Foundation has taken this on. In a rare switch, they've involved the public. So, he doesn't know this, by the way. Miles doesn't know this yet. That on Friday, the news, this is for real, the police chief of San Francisco is going to make a plea to Bat Kid to help because there's some damage in San Francisco and they need his help. Miles will be picked up and given his uniform, and he will be whisked away to the Powell Hyde lines of the cable cars, across which a damsel in distress will be tied up begging Bat Kid to save her, save her, save her. Then he will be transported through the city. They've got a few other surprises. He will be having his hamburgers on the top of a building overlooking Union Square, and this is where your role comes in. The square will be filled with people like you screaming for Bat Kid because the puzzler in that moment will be kidnapping a famous San Francisco icon, and only Bat Kid can save the day. After this, the Bat Kid will be transported to City Hall, where the mayor of San Francisco will present him the keys to the city. So, it's brilliant, isn't it? Doesn't it just make you all squishy and happy? Me too. So I'm going to ask somebody to do us a favor. Find out when folks are going to be at Union Square. Post it on my Facebook page, so those of us who are available or who want to be sick on Friday can go to San Francisco and help Bat Kid save the day. You guys want to do that? Take this on? Me too. I want to close by letting you know that, do you remember back in August, we tried something new. We brought up a cafe table here, and we put 2 cafe stools, and I got to pretty much interview Reverend Dr. Edward Fullion. Do you remember that? It was a good event. So good was it, people have asked for more. So next Sunday, Reverend Dr. Margaret Stortz. Reverend Dr. Margaret Stortz, who's the former president of our denomination, she would have been the equivalent of our Popette. She was at one time, the Popette of our denomination. And when I worked at home office, she was the president, and my job was to support the president. So she was my boss. So next week I'll be interviewing my former boss and current. She's the focus of great admiration from me and many others, because she's straight up in her communication, and she believes what she teaches, and she's just lightning fast smart, wicked sense of humor, and no nonsense. She will probably put me in my place a couple times in front of all of you, so that you will learn how to do that from her. It's a good, isn't this? And is like Mauricio Lopez not the greatest miracle you have ever seen, ever? Yeah. We're going to close this out by just being grateful. House lights are up. Thank you. If you are a United States veteran or a veteran of any military in any country in the world, would you please stand so we can just thank you for your service to our communities? Stillness Speaks. I understand she still has books in the bookstore, and if second service is anything like first, there will be a line to get this, so go in there expecting to make connections and chat with people while you stand in line. And window shop too. Let's pray together. And let's pray from the perspective that we have nothing to fix, because there's nothing wrong. The only thing that is ours to do right now is to realize that we don't have a life. We are life. You don't have a life like water is in a glass. You don't have life like jelly is in a donut. You don't have life like chocolate chips are in a cookie. You are life. And the thing that we are seeking has been causing us to seek. And right now I make a commitment, and I invite those in this room and those who are online watching live streaming and those who are listening and at the gym or in their car or folding laundry to make a commitment this week to spending at least 5 minutes every day to just being quiet and thinking nothing. In so doing, it is my suspicion that we will have been reintroduced to the majesty of today. And the miracles that we're seeking are born today, which makes right now, this very second, the best moment ever. Until right now, which makes right now the best moment ever. Except for, no, right now is the best moment ever. No, now it's even the best moment ever, and so on, and so on, and so on, and so it is. And friends, the ushers are going to come up and help us with the sharing of our gifts and tithes and offerings. And while they do, I just want to mention to those of you who are guests, welcome. Oh, by the way, I'm David Bruner. Guests, oh, that's right. I'm Mauricio's partner. So, hi. When the basket passes in front of you, our guests, give if you feel called, but know that as our guests, we have no expectation. But I ask everyone to say with me our giving affirmation for November. The more joy I share, the more joy is coming to me. The more love I share, the more love is coming to me. The more peace I share, the more peace is coming to me. The more abundance I share, the more abundance is coming to me. As I give, I receive. As I radiate, I attract.
I am one with God immortal, and I am physically renewed. I am washed with forgiveness, and all that's left is love. All that's all. Let's say it again. Say, I am one with God immortal, and I am physically renewed. I am washed with forgiveness, and all that's left is love. All that's left. I see myself dancing. I hear myself singing. I feel myself loving everyone and everything. All that's left is love. All that's all. Come on, say, I am one. Oh, I am physically renewed. I am washed with forgiveness, and all that's left. Yeah, all that's all. I see myself younger. I see myself stronger. I hear myself praying. All that's all. Come on, say, I am. Oh, I am. Oh, I am. And all that's. I see me successful. I hear myself laughing. I feel myself loving everyone and everything. All that's left is love. All that's. Come on, church, say, I am one with God immortal. I am physically renewed. I am washed with forgiveness. All that's left is love. All that's left is love. All that's left is love.
Michelle and the Jordanaires. With Dave squared, I might add. That was pretty remarkable. Hey, last week, hi everybody. Last week during first service, what? Who am I? One only knows. No. I'm Susan Overland. I'm your assistant minister here. Thank you. And last week, hi. You guys all out yourselves. I love you. Last week during first service, I neglected to celebrate birthdays, which we typically do the first Sunday of every month. So if you have a birthday in November and you were not here last week, or you were here first service when I forgot to mention it, would you please stand or wave your hand so we can honor you and sing happy birthday? Today is Volunteer Recognition Sunday, and it's Selfless Service, or Seva, the Sanskrit word for selfless service, Sunday. And I will go back to that in a minute, but we wanted to invite everyone. There are refreshments. There's like a little light brunch afterwards in celebration of all of our magnificent volunteers. At 12:30 today, I believe in the Mandela Room, our youth and family coordinator, youth and family department is having a teacher meeting. So if you are a teacher, a teaching assistant, if you would like to be involved in our youth and family wing in any way, please, you're all welcome to come to the meeting at 12:30. This evening's service will be facilitated by Doris Hoffman at 6 p.m. Tomorrow, the center is closed in honor of Veterans Day. So we'll be back on Tuesday. And on Tuesday, which is 11/12/13, how awesome, that is Dr. David's Better Business Brown Bag Breakfast at 7 a.m. You're all invited to that. And Wednesday night, November 13th, we will have our second week where we are experiencing being in the silence. Last week was so powerful. We had almost 60 people here where we sat in the silence together, and then we shared a meal together in silence. It's free or love offering only. It's our gift to you. This week we're going to double it, and this week will be 40 minutes in silence followed by the meal. So I know. So we look forward to seeing you there. It's powerful and holy. And November 15th, when you're done at Gotham City making a child's dream come true, you can come back here for Dave DeLulo's Drum Circle. It's the last one of 2013. He's out there waving. You don't have to be a drummer. You don't have to bring a drum. And you can see Dave in Fellowship Hall afterwards. If you're interested in becoming a member of the center or finding out what membership is, we have a new member orientation coming up on Monday the 18th at 6:30 p.m. And on November 22nd, you are all invited to my ordination celebration. It's Friday night. Thank you. Thank you. And the only tiny request attached to that is that we are going to have food. We're having a caterer. So if you could RSVP to Reverend Valerie, if you're planning on coming, please do so, because I'm Italian, and the thought of running out of food, oh my God. I will be out of my body and worried that you're not eating. November, our outreach, we are still collecting non-perishable food items for Second Harvest Food Bank. The barrels are there. And if you are interested in helping with the Thanksgiving Eve Thanksgiving Bowls event, where we gather at 5 or 5:30 and we have food, Julia Smith or Grania Callan will be in Fellowship Hall at the table where it says events, and you'll see all the bowls that are being made. There are very special bowls that are being auctioned. So if you'd like to contribute or help in any way, please do so. And we are having a memorial service. This is the second year in a row that Reverend Tony has coordinated an annual memorial service. It's on the 23rd. It's a Saturday from 2 to 2:30, and it's a beautiful afternoon service where you can come and honor any of your loved ones that have made their transition. And back to volunteers. I promised that I would go back and talk about volunteers. You know, when we said we were going to pick today as Selfless or Seva Sunday, we wanted to honor the volunteers. And my idea was that we would give all the volunteers a day off so that when everybody got here for service, the building would be dark and there'd be no music and there'd be no slides and there'd be no bulletins and nobody would be teaching in the youth wing and there'd be no coffee and the windows would all be dirty and on and on and on and on. And everybody else said, everybody kind of chickened out. So we didn't do that. So we thought instead we would honor, we made a list of the countless volunteers who are in service here so that we could read their names into the rosters of our heart. And then we thought, okay, well, that's not going to work. So instead, we would just simply like to ask you, if you have been in service to the center this year in any capacity, would you please stand? And you know me, we can't let you leave without a song honoring you and your efforts.
windows, they're looking so dirty.
Ushers are usually here by 8:30.
No bulletins, I just checked the foyer.
What kind of service will we have today?
Look at the sound booth, there's nobody there.
Look at the screens, there's no slides and they're bare.
No sidewalk signs and there's no greeters here. God's in control, I have nothing to fear. Volunteers are always here to handle all these chores. If they don't come soon, we won't know what to do. We'll just have to lock the doors. No streaming cameras, no microphone cables. Fellowship Hall has no banners or tables. The youth wing is empty. Who's going to teach? Where are they? Did they all go to the beach? My heart is pounding, my nerves are all fraying. Where are the cracks? I wish they were here praying. This is the worst Sunday I've ever seen. Susan, wake up, this is only a dream. What a nightmare, we were dreaming. We were close to tears. We just can't imagine a Sunday without our fabulous volunteers.
It's time to close this down and move on for the day. Will those licensed practitioners who are going to be praying with folks under the window please start moving over there now? The folks, for those of you who are not moving over towards the windows, these are the people who will be praying for you and with you if you'd like someone to. They offer you their expertise, their time, and it's quick and it's free and it's confidential. So if there's anything going on in your life that you want transformed, don't leave here with it. Leave it behind. They will help you. Would you all please stand and take the hand of the person on your right and on your left and repeat after me, which is our custom. Something wonderful is happening as me right now. It's this thing called life. Life is in my mind. Life is in my body. Life is in my finances. Life is in my relationships. Life is in our member Dawn. I see it. I think it. I feel it. I believe it. I accept it. I express it just the way that it is and just the way that it is not. Thank you, life.